everyone, I'm Monique and I'm so excited to be joining in today with Peartree Cutfiles' first birthday celebrations. Join me and my creative friends as we hop through YouTube for lots of Peartree Cutfile inspiration. I've chosen two lovely Peartree Cutfiles for my layout. The first one is this one, Memories Captured 2. And I've cut it multiple times. I've done a little bit of grouping and ungrouping so that I can get the various different versions, and that blue photo reel is called Snap. I did originally cut it to fit a 12 by 12, however I realized that it would be a little bit too small, so I recut it, making it larger than a 12 by 12 so that only a portion of the cut file would show. Once I was happy with the size, I took my pokey tool and did lots and lots of little holes so that I could do some hand stitching to define all those edges. Now it's time to get stuck into the stitching. So I've picked a lovely sunshiny yellow embroidery thread and I've splitted it in two so that I'm working with 3 strands of embroidery thread. And I thread my needle and I just do a double knot in the end, and then I proceed to do back stitch. So I go into the second hole, I go in through the back, and then I go back to the first hole and pull my needle through, going from the front to the back. Then I come back in again into the hole in front of the stitch I've just done, and then once again I go back 1 stitch through the front to the back, and I repeat that all the way around. Now, I don't know about you, but this is one of my favorite kinds of projects to be doing in front of the TV. It really helps to keep my creative fingers busy while I'm sitting still. Now, in a moment, you're going to see all my stitching complete, if only it were that quick in real life. I really love how the stitching just finishes off the edges and gives it a nice little frame all the way around. Now, I'm going to be placing that down and drawing a light pencil mark just so that I've got an idea where to do my mixed media. I want to add a little bit of yellow around the page. So I start off by painting on a little bit of water in patches along that curved line, and then dropping some Ecoline yellow ink. So I do a few patches, making sure that they don't touch, and then I use my heat tool just to dry them a little bit before adding patches of yellow in between. Now the color does still, they do still blend together. However, I feel like I can control the colors a little bit better if they're not touching wet patches to wet patches. And then I just go over the dry color with a little bit more ink, and I love the different shades of yellow that this creates and some of the kind of watermark patches. I really love that visual texture that it adds. Now I've linked up all the lovely creative memory keepers who are taking part in Peartree Cutfiles' Celebratory YouTube hop. It's all linked up in the description box below, so do pop along to all the channels. And throughout the month of August, there are going to be lovely challenges and prizes and all sorts of fun things happening in the Peartree Cutfiles Facebook group. I've linked that up below as well, so do pop along and check it out and come and join us for lots of fun. Now, the reason I wanted to cut this file bigger is, as you can see, I wanted to include lots of photos. So I needed those little holes to be big enough to fit my pictures in so that you'd still be able to see them. So I've just used the negative part of the cut file as a template so that I can cut my photos the correct size. And I'm just slotting them in behind those openings. I recently went with my little family for a lovely seaside staycation, and we just had the best time, and we had beautiful weather, and it was just so much fun. So I really love how this cut file lends itself to including lots of photos and lots of memories from our week away. Now, I start off using some glue to stick the photos down. However, it proves to be very messy and I opt for some washi tape instead for the other photos. So I stick the rest down with washi tape, and then I go in once they're all taped down and I squeeze a little bit of glue in under the edges just so that it stays stuck for the long term. If you're visiting my channel for the first time, you can also find me on Instagram at Handmade Happy by Monique. And if you enjoyed this video, I would be so grateful if you chose to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing so far.
It never rains in California. The sun is always shining bright.
just lightly distressing the edge of the photo reel with my scissors, and then I'm going to start backing my title. So I'm not really going to be backing it, I'm going to be cutting out around the negatives of those letters using various different bits of pattern paper, mostly from the Sunkissed collection from Simple Stories and the Sunkissed collection from Cocoa Vanilla Studio, and then a few other pieces of pattern paper that I've got in my stash. So I'm going for a rainbow sequence of colors, and like I said, I'm using the negative pieces from the cut file, and I'm just drawing around them as a template, and then I'm going to cut them out and then raise them up using some foam squares. Now that's them all cut out, and I love the rainbow sequence of colors, and I've also cut out the word captured in yellow using my silhouette. And now that I've cut out all the colors, I've decided I want to back that little miniature photo reel. So I grabbed the offcuts of my photos from the bin, and I'm using little pieces of sky, sea and sand just to back that photo reel, just so that it's got that photo feel to it, and I really like how it turns out in the end.
You're cold without me, even when it's 90 degrees. Without me, I bet that you can get any sleep in that bed, lying awake, 'cause I'm not there beside you, keeping you warm, and I know I bet you're cold.
Now I want to stick that frame directly onto the backing piece, the solid backing piece that I've got there. However, I'd like that photo reel to be raised. So I've just separated it from the letters, and then I've just used some of my glue to stick down that frame before adding on each of my coloured letters using some foam squares to raise them up. Now I'm always losing these teeny tiny little pieces that go around the center little holes of some of the letters. I had to go rummaging in my bin for that, and I was very glad that I found it. Now I'm just gently distressing the edges of these letters just to kind of echo the distressed edge of the large photo reel. I'm doing it quite carefully because some of the pattern papers I've used are quite thin, and I'm just going to be adding those foam squares just to raise them up to give a bit of height and dimension.
It never rains in California. The sun is always shining bright. But if the sky would open up, you're staying home, you don't get out. You always used to love the rain, but LA changed you. No rain, no
now the word captured isn't going to be raised up, I'm just sticking it directly onto its white counterpart behind it, and I'm doing it slightly offset so that there's a very, very subtle white shadow around the yellow word captured. Now I've got a lovely family photo which is going to be my main feature photo, and I want one of these little tags from the Simple Stories, the Sunkissed collection, so I'm going to tuck that in there just so that you can see the little sunshine peeking out. My photo's overlapping quite a bit onto the photo reel photos, so I've just trimmed it down a little bit, and I've added a hole to that tag so that I can put a little bow in there, and I'm adding some white tissue paper around the edge of the photo. I feel like it just needs a little bit of something behind it, a little subtle edging, but I don't want anything as opaque as pattern paper or white card, so I feel tissue paper just gives a lovely subtle finish to a photo, so I'm just tearing strips and sticking them down. I've not stuck my title down yet. I am slowly learning from my mistakes, because I usually stick one of the main pieces down and then I'm forever trying to lift it and unglue it to tuck things underneath. So I'm trying to stick all the things that need to be in the back layer down first, and then stick my title down as one of the last things. So here I'm just using a piece of yellow and white twine and tying a cute little bow so that I can tuck that in behind the title, and I think that little yellow bow just ties in really nicely with the stitching and the yellow word captured and just brings it all together. Now I've got a few little ephemera pieces. Some are, well, these ones are from the Sunkissed collection by Cocoa Vanilla Studios, and I'm just kind of seeing where everything goes, and I love that little piece that said on vacation, so it completes my title perfectly. So memories captured on vacation. And once again, I am just lightly distressing the edges. I do distress the edges of the 2 flowers, however, I totally forget to to do it to the little beach umbrella. However, I'm not going to be worrying about it and trying to pull it off. It is absolutely fine, and I will survive without that one piece not being distressed.
Heart is fire, but baby, I bet you're cold without me, even when it's 90 degrees. Without me, I bet that you can get any sleep.
And finally, it's time to stick the title down, although you'll see in a moment I do still pull it up, but that's mostly because instead of checking with my ruler that it was straight, I eyeballed it, stuck it down, and then realized it was skew. So I lift it up just to get it straight, and I use my square ruler there to help me, and then I'm happy with it.
'Cause I'm not there beside you, keeping you warm and I know I bet you're cold. You're so damn cold. I bet you're cold. You're so damn cold. No rain, no
Now it's time to stick my cut file down. I've opted to go for my wet glue rather than my tape runner, and I'm just adding some glue to some craft foam on both sides and cutting up little pieces just to fill in the whole back of that cut file before sticking it down onto my mixed media background, and it just gives a lovely little bit of height to the layout. Now I want to add a few more bits and pieces, so I've got these lovely little puffy stickers from Simple Stories Sunkissed collection, and I've stuck a few down along with a little yellow flower under the beach brolly, and now I'm playing with some sequins. I'm not too happy with how they look kind of scattered about the page, so I do change my mind and add them onto the letters of the word memories instead. So I do some tone on tone sequence adding. You'll see that in just a moment. Here I am sticking them down, and then I just added a little tab to the top of my main photo and another little sticker to the center of that teeny tiny little photo reel in the middle. Now I want to add some journaling, and I've taken out my little set of stamps, and I did kind of roughly check that it would all fit perfectly around the edge, and I was quite glad that it did all work out quite nicely. So I've added my journaling in there, and I feel that finishes off the layout quite nicely. And then I'm going to add one last tab with the date stamped onto it. And that is my layout complete. I have loved guest designing for Peartree Cutfiles in honour of their first birthday. Please do pop along to all the other creative channels who are taking part in this lovely celebratory birthday hop. I've linked everyone up for you below, and don't forget to stop by the Peartree Cutfiles Facebook group for lots of fun challenges and prizes throughout the month of August. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you've seen something that inspires you to get creative, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Without me, I bet that you can get any sleep in the bed.